ye bo awra enseni mu a etifo munim se early MPP primaries edi hyesu yi a etifo ehun kanebia kompreko Japan do tamam bomia mutimi de ekupie mo any others etifo mutimi de ekupie mo no na yetimi bo prin honabo kanebia kompreko Japan no oheneba utimi di insem bebre na etuja sem onfa ne fadwim monfa ne fa nchenchen side by side insuomu awemu 2028 abato ne kokoto no ono ana motwum ni batinye pe ono ana ebewi na saa ere abato yi na etefo itimi etiwo na chese premise itimi ba na wiye itimi ba na wiye no itimi bo pini kena Japan Canada Japan ne kampa yetimu se eho aye komi chese eho aye din yetimu se yes bibi akoso premise wono no na ede na course premise wono webewrem ye bo princhen ha chese one of the MPP members die hard fan etima babontin edi insem bi abetudwa se ade ntia na mo ye din sa chese say the call premise ni wi ya etifo de kusi wo oboyemu na de ntia o ma ye din no so why de wode insem bi eso egu na mesho so bagidin no wetie old no mu ye de insem yi na meji so beti insem na ase na be subscribe to our channel na be like video we na be share video so de am fro no manya de ekoso ye o man gan ma say na sem we de untimi enhwe unkwa untimi nhwe promote na channel ye de enkwa nanim na be ya insem ye be betudwa bia obenye ahwe nyekotie de ye die hard fan of honabo Canada kompreko Japan o se ni twetwemu no akasa no twetwemu. Therefore,
let's now bring in Kwesi Kwati, spokesperson for Kennedy Japan, who has declared his intention to contest for the flag bearer position of the new patriotic party. You're welcome to the channel and newsroom.
Yeah, thank you, and very good evening to you, and good evening to your viewers.
Right. Before we talk about Kennedy Japan's campaign, though, the insert that just played was your former boss. So, how is this going to work? Are you supporting him or you're supporting Kennedy Japan?
I expected that. I mean, when I saw the incident, you know that this question was inevitable. Certainly, you're going to ask me.
Yeah.
In terms of my support, I've already made a declaration and made a stance that I'm going to support the Honorable Kennedy Japan, which I'm doing the same. But of course, I do respect the decision of my former boss. I mean, I don't even want to use my former boss. He's still my boss. They say once a soldier, always a soldier.
He's a soldier.
He's a fine gentleman, like any of the other aspirants or hopefuls who want to contest, i.e. Dr. Baumia himself, Dr. Luchum, Dr. Brian Champon. I think the doctors are many. three doctors. I also understand that Mr. Kobna, Engineer Kobna Japan also want to contest. And also that of the Honorable Patrick Boama, he also want to contest. So I am of the view that they are all fine brains, we wish them the best, but in terms of who I believe can rescue power for the MPP within the shortest possible term, particularly 2028, I am of the view that Honorable Kennedy Japan is ahead, and for that matter, I am supporting him from now. Maybe subsequently or in the future, I may consider supporting any of the other aspirants. But for now, in terms of who can win power, I want
supporting Kennedy Japan. Right. We understand that the potential aspirants were consulted ahead of this decision. Can you confirm whether Kennedy Japan was part of that engagement, and what are his views on the process?
Are you referring to the decision of the National Council?
Yes.
I do not know whether that is the requirement of the constitution of the party. Because National Council happens to be a decision-making body of the party. Obviously, the annual delegate conference is the highest decision-making body. And I do not think when they want to make any decision, they have to consult it. I mean, maybe out of courtesy, but I am aware that in terms of the invitation to the members of the National Council and NEC, I am aware that it was even public. So in terms of, or in that regard, the Honorable Kennedy Japan and any other NEC member will know, and even myself, I got to know because it was made public. But in terms of arriving at the decision, I do not think they require the input of any party member or any other of the aspirants. Maybe when the election is proper, is set on roll, and for that matter, they are making decisions or guidelines that regulates the elections. I'm sure they will have to take their input. But with regards to the decision making, as to the date and the approach of the election, I'm sure that is the sole prerogative of the National Council.
Okay, let's talk about this decision. So it's aimed at maintaining or stopping, minimizing internal conflicts within the party. From where you stand, is this the right strategy?
Well, let me say that, well, the National Council more or less were performing a constitutional duty. Of course, in a democratic dispensation, people may not necessarily be happy with any decision that comes from a body like the National Council. But at the end of the day, whether you agree or you disagree, you may have to still respect it, right? Especially when you are a member of the party and you are also being governed by the same constitution. Reasons has been given. There are people who disagree. There are people who have different opinions. But for us in the Kennedy Japan camp, we are of the view that they were performing their constitutional responsibility, constitutional mandate, except to say that if you look at the general acceptance of the decision, particularly referencing the approach where you may have a top to bottom approach, if you look at the general reception and the general acceptance, it appears to be quite unpopular within the public or the general space. But I mean, we believe the elections are won at the polling station. You have to have your message, you have to target the polling station executives, go to them, make your case, tell them what you want to do. If they buy into it, I mean, bingo, you get to move and win an election, becomes a flag bearer. So for us, our focus is more on getting to the polling station, speaking to the delegates, making sure that they believe in our message, which we have a very strong message. And we are of the view that Kennedy Japan is winnable, he is marketable, he is somebody in terms of within the short period of time, 2020, he can be able to rescue us power as a party. And for us, we will engage the party people or communicate to them, and we are of the view that they are going to support us. I mean, as to calendaring and scheduling of election period, I mean, there is always no proper time, whether next year or the next 2 years or whatever. Even with regards to the calendar, record that reference also has to be made to the constitution of the party, where it requires that when you're in opposition, it has to be at least 2 years before we go into the next general election. So, well, we respect the decision of the National Council. We do not hold any tight reservations, except to say that the approach is something that, if you look at social media, if you look at the general public response, people have reservations too. But like I indicated, the job is on the grounds. We'll go on the grounds, engage the people, and sell our message. That's what is most important.
So some critics are of the view that this is a move or a calculated attempt to tilt the playing field towards a preferred candidate. How do you respond to that allegation?
Well, opinions are like noses. they may not be entirely wrong. They also may not be entirely right, especially when you look into the past and you also look at some conduct by certain individuals that ordinarily we expected them to be fair, candid, neutral, and take some form of adjudicating position. So people may have basis of making some of these comments. But I mean, for us, we are of the view that sovereignty resides with the people. It cannot be said that the over 200,000 delegates or polling station executives, their conscience can just be sacrificed at the altar of few people. I mean, politics is a game of strategy, it's a game of numbers. People may have their own way of trying to get what they want. I mean, sometimes it may be clean, it may also be a bit murkier. But for me, the most important thing is that I trust in the judgment of the people, the polling station executives down there. They are down there, they are base of the party. They go to the market, they go to the churches, and everywhere that they go, people are making reference to the fact that if you bring Kennedy Japan, we are going to vote for you. And I am sure they are mindful of this heavy assignment on them. They are very aware of the realities of the ground. They move in the public space. They know what the public want. And I am not sure, no amount of tilting, no amount of manipulations, no amount of Machiavellian approach or tactics will be able to subvert the will of the people. And most importantly, if you even want to generalize it or I mean, escalate it to, for instance, the general election that we have been having. The last time President Mahama appointed electoral commissioner, which, I mean, the rumor was that it was going to help aid him win the elections, he lost woefully. And we also appointed the current electoral commissioner. We also lost and suffered the worst defeat that any presidential candidate has ever suffered in the history of our fourth republic, 1.7 million votes difference. So it shows that sovereignty resides with the people, not some few select people who may want to have their own motives or agendas. Yeah, we will not dismiss that, but our focus is very keen on getting our message down to the people, engaging them, talking to them, letting them know their mind, and we are very hopeful that at the end of the day, they are going to do what is expected of